Hello, everybody. Welcome to one of our famous Mission Church videos that are so highly acclaimed and well done. Yesterday, the governor rolled out some new protocol and some new rules and is actually shutting down certain things, bars, movie theaters, water parks, which I thought all those were completely gone anyway.
Yeah, we don't even have any anymore.
Yeah, he's like, Justin's Water World is gone again, double gone. But we thought it would be a good opportunity, considering those things and our stance as a church, to talk to a church and a pastor who has had experience with COVID. And maybe that'll give us a little bit more of a clear vision, since we've only had a few, maybe even just one or two people that we know that have gotten something. And so, this is Steve, and Steve is going to kind of give us some direction and insight.
Yeah, and little background on how we know Steve. Steve and I married into the same family, so
exactly.
We married the Johnson sisters, and so
they didn't marry one another. That's it.
No, not well, no. So Steve's my brother-in-law and pastor in Phoenix, and so not only, Steve, have you seen COVID, you've got it. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you've been through the last couple weeks here, and what would you say to, I think Nick and I both have struggled with, how serious do we take this? How much do we, what do we do? And even just as dudes who have kind of been in that space, talk to us.
Yeah. Give us some insight, man, because my understanding changes by the hour.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this: you don't want it. It's not. It's not so. It's not that it's that painful or anything. The symptoms are that miserable. It's just the quarantining. Like it's relational hell. I mean, you can't. I have a newborn. I haven't held my newborn in 9 days, and so that's just never fun. And so, kind of waiting this out. All the psychological stuff that you hear when you see the death tolls and all these things, that starts to weigh on you too. Even though, like I was saying earlier, I feel pretty decent, but not being with the staff, not being at church, all those things start to weigh on you. I'll walk you guys through a little bit. When we, just like everybody else, during the stay-at-home order, when all this was coming out, we were shut down. We were doing online services, broadcasting, and it was going well. When Governor Ducey lifted the stay-at-home order and we started wrestling with, okay, when do we want to open back up? We had, just like everybody, we had sides that were aggressive. Hey, open up now, open up soon. I'm depressed. I want to get back. I miss my church. And then you had the other side that was saying, don't be stupid, community health. And so we had those same voices. I mean, we've literally been called stupid and fear and leaders that lead with fear, by either side. And so, you kind of know you're never going to win that if you're trying to please everybody. And so we prayed, we thought about it, and we ended up deciding on June 7th, I believe, we opened up, with all the same, hey, wear masks if you want, you don't have to wear masks. That was kind of the prevailing, that was kind of Governor Ducey's. We pretty much stayed with Governor Ducey's mandates. And so for a couple of weeks, we didn't have masks. I don't know what the percentage was. Half the people wore masks, some didn't. And distancing was, lots of people were social distancing, but then we're a pretty young church. Lots of young people would come in and they'd be all over each other, hanging out, sitting next to each other, even though we had spaced things in the auditorium to accommodate for that social distancing. But
kind of something we've assumed, Steve, that it sounds like you're saying is you can claim social distancing, but actually
people are going to do whatever they want.
How, right?
Yeah, you can only enforce so much, but the mask mandate that, when although Ducey didn't mandate it, but Mayor Gallego in Phoenix mandated masks for gatherings. So on Father's Day, so we went 2 Sundays, the 7th and the 14th, just kind of normal church. And, our attendance in a summer would be 1,200 on a weekend. And we were between those 2 weekends, we were around 400, 500. So we knew, a good portion of our people weren't coming. The Father's Day weekend, we were probably 300. It felt like nobody was there, spread over 3 services in a 750 person auditorium.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it definitely felt a little light. And although that Sunday, Father's Day, we did have, everybody was wearing masks, and we had people who couldn't believe we were enforcing masks and thought it was fearful leadership and so forth. So, you can't really win. I think at the end of the day, you just say, hey, we know there's value in the church gathering. We understand that, but we also want to keep our people safe. And so we try to make the best decision possible. So we're now actually closed for several reasons, not the least of which is like I have COVID and some other, it did get in our church a little bit. It's not, I don't want to say it's like wide, it's not rampant and widespread, but a few of us have it. And one of the interesting things that I think, this is just in my case, I'm not saying this would be anyone else, but I was super diligent. I was wearing my mask, all the time when I'd go out to stores, and then we had kind of our family, which was our staff, and we'd get together, even during the stay-at-home order. I'd go into work. Churches are essential businesses. We were allowed to do that legally. But we still kind of maintained social distancing and didn't really get close, but we were the same people for 10 weeks. I think what happened is, and what you have to be careful for, I think, our staffs, when you start to open up that social circle outside of your regular people, I think that's when we brought COVID in our midst. So I actually don't think, I don't think I got it from one of our church gatherings. I probably got it just internally.
Yeah. Just with that smaller group. Yeah.
Yeah. And we let our guard down. I let my guard down a little bit. I would meet with people without a mask, the same people I've been meeting with for months, on our team. But what I didn't know is that, the spike had gone up Arizona. So a lot more people were getting it. And then those small circles that people were living in, then COVID started to get into those circles. So you really have to be, if you're serious about not getting it, bringing it into your church or staff, I think you have to really be careful about how wide the circle is, in your staff. So that's our story.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That's needed stuff for Nick and I to hear. I mean, we don't want to,
For sure.
We're going to share this out with our pastors group and our people. And, I think they probably, some of them know that we're not coming at this from like this position of like, we definitely have done it right, know how to do it at all. Cause I think some of the things you're saying, Steve, I mean, we've done similar things.
Yeah, we were just putting up that basketball pole. Flagpole. Where did that come from?
And that we didn't even think about. It was like all of a sudden there's a moment of like, oh, everybody help put up the basketball hoop, and we all just grabbed the pole, like, and then it's like, how our faces all just kind of because you're all lifting and saying. And anyway, there's moments where you default and mess up. Anyway, so by no means are we wanting to come across as critical, and that's why I appreciate your voice in this, Steve, because you've been trying to work it out. I know you have, and you're a thoughtful dude. And so just even to remember to have somebody like you go, well, shoot, look, it snuck in. We kind of let our guard down, like you said. I need to hear that because I want to be reminded of that and be cautious. Can you just, I mean, how do you think that you were kind of saying at the beginning, you don't want to get it, it's uncomfortable, and stuff like that, but how it affected your family, and if you were to just kind of encourage out of here's why to be more careful than not, what are like the top couple reasons for that?
Well, I think it's, again, this is just my experience. So I can't speak for anyone else because I know people are dying, and for all I know, in 3 days I'm going to die. I don't know this, but I feel great. I feel okay. But right. I've been sitting in the same chair for 9 days. Yeah. And I've got a little aero bed in my living room, and so someone has to wait on me, bring me food, bring me all these things. And so that type of thing, it weighs on you. I can't do much. So I'm now putting the burden. So it'd be one thing if I said, well, I'm just going to go do this and I'll bear the whole burden of this disease myself. I don't actually get to do that. because now a bunch of other people, I forced their hand and now they have to do it. Now my kids don't get to hug me goodnight and all these things and all the things my wife, counts on me to do, I can't really do. So I think you have to consider all those things. And again, chances are a bunch of 25-year-olds, 40-year-olds aren't going to die if they get
Right.
COVID. I mean, the statistics bear that out, but it does actually impact. And it's that social distancing, that quarantine time, not the social distancing, the quarantine time. I mean, when you start thinking, I can't be around people for 14 days, and that starts to multiply out, you're distancing yourself from a lot of people, and it's not easy to do. The one thing there's this voice that always pops up in every church, and of course we'd have people say this, but it's a common refrain among the aggressive church, the people that want to start back up. They say, well, hey, listen, if you're worried about getting sick, then just don't go to church.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, well, on the surface that makes sense, but the fact is there's some people that don't get to vote, and that's your staffs, your volunteers, the people have to run. So someone kind of has to watch out for them and say, hey, listen, they don't get a vote on when they on coming in or not. Someone's gonna have to preach a sermon, someone's gonna have to play music, someone's gonna have to do this stuff. So I think there can be a tendency to think pretty selfishly for people to go, well, I want my church, and if you don't want to get sick, stay home. But then there's other people that don't have that choice.
Right. If you feel pretty compelled to lead this community or serve this community, you don't feel like you have the leeway to just go, I'm not going to be there.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's helpful, man. Well,
Sharon.
we don't want this to be too long. I think that's exactly what I was hoping we could kind of share. Thanks for being vulnerable enough to kind of put yourself out there and say, hey, this is what happened to me. And appreciate you, man. I'm glad you're feeling better too.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry you guys are going through all this.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. No, I'm good. Thanks. Yeah, it's not the physical stuff. It's the emotional and it's the relational stuff. Like I got to sit there and watch my family from a distance. That stinks.
Well, and you kind of mentioned before we started recording this extra anxiety that comes along with knowing it's COVID-19 that makes it just more stressful. Even if if it doesn't feel that bad, you're like, but I've heard terrible things have happened to people, which they have. And so there is this added anxiety on top of it that it's just, and that you probably don't want to deal with it and you don't want other people to have to deal with it. Right.
Right. Yeah, I had to send my kids and they all got tested yesterday. So they're getting things stuck up their nose, my newborn is, having to figure this out. And it's not fun.
Yeah.
So it's that ancillary effect, when people get infected, then it just impacts a lot of other people. It's not just one person usually.
Yeah. Well, I think that's exactly what we need to hear, what everybody needs to hear. It's this idea of serving others, love one another, the ripple effects of it, emotional, physical, and all that. So thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Appreciate
you bet.